My name is Brandon Crick. I'm a former juvenile and adult corrections officer. I've spent a lot of time in security and law enforcement. I'm also a professional mixed martial artist and have been teaching martial arts for 15 years. I'm proposing a program called Fighting for the Future that is a mentorship program for at-risk youth, using mixed martial arts as a tool to keep these kids out of trouble and keep them out of dangerous and potentially violent situations. Reason why I'm beginning this program is this goes back almost 10 years ago when I started out as a juvenile corrections officer. I used martial arts and martial arts exercises to help the kids that I was working with in juvenile focus, and I used it almost as a reward system to keep them out of trouble, and it was extremely successful. So that put the seed of the idea in my head that, you know, maybe later in life I could set up something where I used it to keep people out of trouble before they got into the justice system. And that's what we're looking at doing now, is putting this program together where we use mixed martial arts as a tool to keep children that are having problems at home, that are having problems at school, that are having problems out on the street, out of these situations where they're going to get in trouble. A lot of what we do is mentorship, examples, giving these kids positive angles to use their energy, positive channels, where instead of taking out their aggression on someone else, or instead of taking out their aggression by doing something destructive, they actually have a constructive channel they can use. The idea of it is, if they're using these constructive channels, if they're moving forward, if they're finding positive ways to use this negative energy, then they're not going to go and get in trouble. They're not going to go and cause problems out on the street. If they have this reward system that is made unavailable to them if they do get in trouble, they're going to stay on the positive track. Well, we teach them to channel that fear. We teach them to channel that aggression. We teach them to channel that anger. We teach them that there are ways to use it without being destructive to other people. And I find that if you do that, their anger problems go away. They're able to control their hyperactivity. They're able to control their impulses to do things that are harder on society or that are less acceptable to society. So what we're essentially doing is just giving these kids another chance to move forward with their own futures.
Hello, my name is Alex Russ. I'm from South Fort Worth. I grew up in a gang-affiliated area. It was a rough neighborhood, and I fought a lot on the streets. It was part of survival there. I've transitioned into mixed martial arts, and I've become a pro mixed martial artist, and it's changed my life. In the culture I grew up in, you really had to fight to protect your house. You really had to fight to make sure people respected you, you know, and there wasn't talking involved. You had to fight to prove yourself, you know. Since I've been training and since I became a martial artist, and when I became a wrestler, I think I developed a different type of confidence to where I understood what I was capable of. I understood that I was efficient at fighting, and that made me feel like I just didn't have anything to prove. For all you kids who are out there fighting and you love it and you feel like a warrior inside, I mean, this is pretty much the place you want to be. For all of the parents who have children who are out there fighting and living that lifestyle, I think it's more important to tell them that they should have their kids here. I think most of them don't really understand what goes on here. This is in sense an education, and going through the motions of learning how to be a martial artist. The hard work and the dedication you learn here, you apply everywhere else.
Hi, my name is Justin Patterson. I've been training here for a couple years now. I'm originally from Arlington, Texas, over on the south side. And biggest thing for me is I used to have a huge temper. Like, I was very quick to, I guess, jump on people, to fight people, just because, you know, I wasn't the quickest wit person with words. So, while people are cracking jokes on each other and, making fun of people or whatever, I couldn't keep up. So my solution was, let's fight about it. As a whole, growing up as a kid, I was actually very small. And I had huge glasses about the size of my face. So I got picked on a lot for that. And so, I kind of developed instead of developing tough skin to getting picked on, I kind of developed, all right, let's fight about it. Let's go ahead and throw down. If you beat me up, then, you keep making fun of me. If not, then, you leave me alone. And as the time went on, my mom put me in boxing, which boxing was a huge help. It let me know, hey, I wasn't the toughest guy in town. I went in that boxing, went in there to train, and they straightened me out. After leaving boxing, went into the military, continued training in there. I actually think if I hadn't have gone into fight training before I left, I probably wouldn't have been as successful, because I had very much humbled myself in boxing and very much changed my attitude. Like, I listened, and I went into mixed martial arts, and I never left. It's been about 2 years of training now. It keeps me level. It keeps me focused. Brandon's class in particular is probably one of the best I've been in, just as far as learning. It's a very structured course. It's physically and mentally demanding. You have to be able to keep up with the workouts as well as keep up with the training and think. He actually gives us homework. He sends us home, watch these fighters, watch these guys, look at the technique, watch these drills. All the young guys that come into the class, they love it. We keep track of them as far as, how they're doing in school. Brandon is a firm believer in school first. If they have jobs outside of here, if they have stuff they got to take care of, he always makes sure that they are taking care of those as well as taking care of their time in here. So he's also a mentor as well as a coach. So I think that's the big thing. For the actual, guys who are out fighting, and if you do have a temper, much like myself, come try it out. When you're dealing with people out in the streets, you run into a lot of people who don't know what they're doing. When you come in here and you bring that attitude in here, a lot of the time it fizzles out because you run into people who are better than you. They're stronger than you. They're faster. They've been doing this. This is what they do. And it shows you something about yourself. You realize things about yourself that you can't really realize otherwise. And mostly, it's the parents that I really want to talk to. What we're doing here is much different from what you think it is. We're not in here to beat up on your child. We're actually in here to just guide them.
How you doing? Imon Kincaid, professional MMA fighter. I'm from Arlington. Well, I'm from the Bronx, New York originally. Right now, I reside in Arlington, Texas. I'm originally one of these rough kids that you read about in the papers, always in trouble, cutting up, fighting in the streets. A friend of mine, David Behringer, he was like, man, I ran into him once or twice. He had lived in my brother's apartments, and he was like, man, I'm trying this stuff, MMA. And I had seen it on TV, and I thought, oh, that's for white boys, that ain't our style. And went in there, and Brandon Crick and Milt, I kept thinking, these white boys, they make me nervous, and they just opened up. Hey, man, what's your name? Come on in, get involved, do this. I remember, and I always thought, white people, especially with Brandon with his, background, of course, of working in, prisons and everything. I'm like, I'm getting out of prison. I don't want to work with no dude that, that works from prison. And so we found that, and MMA kind of changed me over, man. It made me have more pride. I hang out with guys that, are life-hood friends now, and it's like with MMA, it helped me find a whole different life, For this program that Brandon's putting up, it's great. I wish I'd have had it growing up, because if I'd have had this in high school and all that, it'd have definitely changed a lot for me. You got to think, of course God is a lot that helps me change, but God put MMA in my life for that. These kids, he's giving them a grand opportunity, to get the anger out, to tire them out, to show them respect. This is something these kids want. This is something these kids need, and it'll help, and then to get the parents. The parents, they come home, they tired. They don't want to mess around and run around. They want to go to sleep, take a shower, and they want to be back at practice the next day. This program is one of the things that I think, it's going to take off, and it's going to be big. And MMA, you don't want to fight. You want to learn more. I think the parents need to give it a chance, because I really believe that they'll see the difference in their children.